Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We usually think of human evolution as this relentless march of progress, right? Like we're just constantly getting stronger, faster, and smarter. Well, actually, scratch that. There is a quiet evolutionary mystery hiding right now inside your own body, a biological reality that literally flips that entire narrative completely upside down. So, here's the thing. It's a completely fascinating paradox. If you compare your genetic blueprint to a human from, say, 10,000 years ago, it's identical. We share the exact same starting hardware. There's no difference. Yet, somewhere between their ancient skeleton and yours, a fundamental shift occurred. Today, your bones are losing an ancient fight that your ancestors never even had to think about. Just look at the stark difference here. The ancient bone on the right is thick, it's robust, and highly dense. But the modern bone on the left? It looks significantly more fragile. Honestly, you'd think they belong to two entirely different species, but they don't. This isn't some weird genetic mutation, it's a biological shift that has happened over millennia. And to understand why our bones look so radically different today, we have to look at how these people actually lived. Okay, let's dive into Section 1, the athlete paradox. To unravel this whole mystery, bioarchaeologists looked at this landmark study by University of Cambridge scientist Alison McIntosh. It's honestly mind-blowing. On one side, we have women from early European farming communities basically just doing their regular daily chores, right? Grinding grain, carrying water, the usual stuff. On the other side, we have modern elite competitive rowers participating in what is widely considered one of the most physically grueling sports on Earth. And the shocking conclusion? The ancient farming women, who literally never once did a workout, had much stronger leg bones than modern elite athletes who train for hours every single day. Regular ancient chores built a stronger skeleton than elite modern training does today. How crazy is that?
So let's figure out how that's possible in Section 2, Inside the Sponge Analogy.
How does a regular ancient farmer beat a modern elite athlete in skeletal strength? Well, it all comes down to bone density. That's basically a measurement of how tightly packed the inside of your bone is. Think of your bones kind of like a sponge. A weak bone is like a sponge with large, loose, airy holes. It squishes really easily. A strong bone, on the other hand, is like a sponge with tiny, microscopic, tightly packed holes. The tighter and more packed that internal structure is, the harder the whole bone is to break. To understand exactly how those holes get packed so incredibly tight, we have to look at Julius Wolff. He was a doctor back in the 1800s who made this absolute game-changing discovery that we now call Wolff's Law. See, your bones are not just dead, stiff metal poles holding you up. They are living, breathing tissue. Wolff's Law basically says that living bone tissue changes and rebuilds itself based on the physical pressure and weight it regularly deals with. Scientists call this mechanical loading. If you put steady physical pressure on a bone, it actively builds itself up to handle that pressure. But if you remove the pressure, the bone safely assumes it doesn't need to be strong and it gets weaker. Your bones are constantly listening to the signals your daily life sends them.
And this brings into stark focus the vast difference in the signals we're sending our bodies compared to our ancestors. Think about it. A normal day for an ancient human involved walking 7 to 12 miles across uneven terrain, squatting, climbing, and constantly carrying heavy objects. Every single movement was a mechanical load signaling the skeleton saying, hey, build yourself up. Contrast that with the normal day in modern society. We're walking maybe 3,000 to 5,000 steps, we're taking elevators, and we're sitting at desks for hours on end. We are constantly sending our skeletons the signal that they simply don't need to be very strong.
Let's trace how we got here in Section 3, a timeline of decline.
Scientist Christopher Ruff spent decades mapping out exactly when human skeletons started losing their strength, and he found that the decline ties directly to three major societal shifts. First, roughly 10,000 years ago, we shifted from highly mobile hunter-gatherers to settled farmers. Now, while farming is definitely hard work, it involves narrow, repetitive motions, which means less varied pressure on the bones. The second massive drop happened just a few hundred years ago during the Industrial Revolution, when machines began replacing human physical labor. And the third, and honestly most severe drop, is happening right now: sedentary modernity. We're talking the era of desk jobs, screens, and a daily life stripped of almost all necessary physical pressure.
Which brings us to Section 4, the chimpanzee comparison.
Just how weak have we actually become because of all these societal shifts? Well, in a major 2014 study, scientists Tim Ryan and Colin Shaw compared us to the rest of the animal kingdom, and guys, we are the glaring odd ones out. Wild chimpanzees, one of our closest relatives, have incredibly high bone density.
Ancient humans are remarkably similar to the chimps, maintaining that really high density, and then there is bar 3, modern humans. We are dramatically, noticeably lower. It's not that ancient humans possessed magical, super strong bones. Modern humans just have unusually weak ones compared to what our bodies were originally designed to maintain. And there are incredibly serious health stakes attached to this decline. When bone density drops too low, it leads to a condition called osteoporosis. Literally translating to bone full of holes, this is when those tiny gaps inside the sponge become so large and frail that bones can break from incredibly minor impacts. We're talking a simple trip and fall, or believe it or not, even a hard sneeze. This condition is absolutely rampant in modern aging populations. Yet, when bioarchaeologists examine ancient skeletons, even from very elderly individuals, they rarely find this kind of severe breakdown. Their daily lives literally protected them. But it's not all doom and gloom. Let's talk solutions in Section 5, Rebuilding Your Skeleton.
Here is the genuinely good news. Because of Wolff's Law, your bones aren't permanently stuck this way. Remember, they are living tissue. They're just waiting to rebuild the exact moment you give them the right signals. Scientists have pinpointed the movements that actively command bones to grow denser. Walking is great, sure, but to really build bone, you need high-impact jumping, pulling tension in different directions, climbing, and heavy carrying. Notice anything familiar about that list? It perfectly mimics the very daily physical routine of an ancient hunter-gatherer or an early farmer.
Now, you don't necessarily have to become an elite powerlifter or even call it a workout to start reversing this trend. You just need to reintroduce that mechanical loading back into your modern life. It's simple stuff. Step 1, choose the stairs instead of letting an elevator do all the lifting for you. Step 2, carry your own heavy groceries to the car or into your house instead of having them delivered. Step 3, walk across varied, uneven terrain whenever possible instead of just driving. Every single one of these actions actively tells your skeleton, hey, I still need you to be strong. Your bones remember a life you may have never lived. They possess an ancient biological memory, just waiting for the physical demands of a world we left behind thousands of years ago. They aren't asking you to fight for your survival or to face prehistoric dangers. They are simply asking for real, varied movement. So the next time you have the choice between the easy way or the physically demanding way, ask yourself, what signal do you want to send your skeleton today?